what's up?
Lil Baby should thank Young Thug for not being hit with a RICO yet. What we're seeing right now is a lot of men going down for being involved in stuff that doesn't solve any real problems. Everybody wants to be gang until it's time to go to jail. Now you have the top artists in hip hop trying to hurry up and clean their image. They trying to lay low.
You better lay low.
Just in case the feds start knocking. Cause you know why? Don't nobody want to give up their freedom. These guys don't want to go to jail, and if the circumstances were presented, they would in fact snitch. Now this video was going to be dedicated to breaking down OTF, 4PF, and YSL, and then I realized, you know, some of these niggas are stupid. While we recognize that circumstances often shape people's lives, it's important to emphasize that some individuals are simply a product of their environment. Even after achieving wealth, some people remain true to who they are, and their friends reflect that for a reason. The death of FBG Duck did way more harm than good in the streets. His death did set off a lot of sirens, and is one of the reasons why Durk is going down now. It doesn't matter whether or not he pulled the trigger. His resources were used to commit a crime. Then he profited by glamorizing the death in his music and or his label's music. FBG Duck, whose name is Carlton Weekly, was gunned down by a group of masked men as he waited to enter the Dolce & Gabbana store in August of 2020. His girlfriend, Kashay Williams, and another man, David Brinson, were also wounded in the attack. FBG Duck was a part of the Tuckerville faction of the Gangster Disciples, while King Von was a part of the O Block Gangster Disciples, and they've had beef for years, even before either one of them blew up. You can see their history on Twitter. Before we get into this murder, it's alleged that King Von was the one to order the hit on FBG Duck before Von was murdered a month later. Von was murdered outside of the Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta. There was an altercation between two groups involving King Von and his friends and Quando Rondo and his friends. Von walked up, threw a punch at Quando that escalated into a shootout, which drew the attention of nearby police officers. King Von, along with two other people, were killed in the gunfire. Timothy, Lil Tim Leaks, a friend of Quando Rondo, was charged with the murder of King Von, but in 2023, the murder charges against him were dismissed. Because of this, there's been a huge target on Quando Rondo's back, and his career has basically been in the gutter since. He's been laying low since there's been multiple attempts on his life. Every time someone tries to kill Quando, they end up killing anybody near him, including Quando Rondo's cousin, Lil Pap, who was caught in the crossfire at a gas station with his cousin and killed in 2022. So they ended up killing the wrong person. Now we're fast forwarding to 2024, and the shooting of Lil Pap is now a murder for hire plot against Quando Rondo, which was allegedly orchestrated by Lil Durks' associates in retaliation for King Von's death.
Federal authorities moved quickly over the last 48 hours to find and arrest Lil Durk, whose real name is Durk Banks. Prosecutors say Banks even tried fleeing the country after 5 of his alleged co-conspirators were arrested just this week.
The family of Durk Banks seen leaving federal court today in support of the Chicago-born rapper. Banks was arrested in Florida Thursday, facing charges of conspiracy to commit murder for hire and conspiracy to use facilities for murder for hire.
In June of 2024, a grand jury convened and indicted 5 men. The charges were conspiracy and use of interstate facilities to commit murder for hire, resulting in death. The charges also include use and carry and discharge of a firearm. Those 5 men are Kayvon London Grant, aka Cuz, aka Vonnie, DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, aka Didi, Keith Jones, aka Flocka, David Brian Lindsay, aka Brown Eyes, and Asia Houston, aka Boogie. The indictment claims that a member of Durk's camp made clear in coded language that a bounty or monetary reward and or payment would be made to anyone who took part in killing Quando Rondo for his role in King Von's murder. They bought ski masks, did credit card transactions, tracked down Quando, went on planes, and they have photo evidence of their cars at the gas station and the actual crime being committed. And all of this traces back to the breadwinner, Lil Durk.
The 32-year-old was arrested after 5 members of his Only the Family group, also known as OTF, were indicted by a California grand jury this week on charges of conspiracy to commit murder for hire.
We knew when the others were charged that it was a conspiracy and there were multiple players in it. The fact that he's now been charged in such close proximity to those other charges suggests, of course, that this is related to them and that the conspiracy is even wider than originally presented.
Prosecutors say hitmen hired by Banks opened fire on Rondo in August of 2022 while he and a cousin were near their vehicle at a gas station in L.A. Rondo survived, but his cousin was killed. Prosecutors also accused Banks of trying to flee the country this week after his alleged co-conspirators were arrested. They say Banks booked multiple international flights, which he never boarded. Then, Banks allegedly had plans to board a private jet Thursday, departing from Miami to Italy before he was arrested.
The feds have evidence that they pay with the promise and agreement to pay via money and or music opportunities with OTF, his label. Now, how this became interesting to me is because FBG Duck's mother sued Lil Durk and King Von's estate because, according to the lawsuit, the defendants allegedly encouraged a culture of violence, knowing that it would fuel record sales and streams by promoting reality rap, a genre built on real-life conflicts and violence. The suit suggests that King Von had a specific agenda against FBG Duck and that Durk and the associated record labels knowingly benefited from this feud. From a legal perspective, the case would hinge on proving that the labels and artists were not just profiting off of violent imagery, but were also directly encouraging or orchestrating acts of violence, which is difficult to establish in court. The First Amendment protects artistic expression. If the plaintiffs can prove that the label knowingly facilitated or promoted real-world violence for profit, it could create legal liability. FBG Duck's mother filing a lawsuit against Lil Durk and King Von's estate really highlights the darker side of the rap industry that many of us have been talking about for years. This lawsuit claims that Durk, Von, and the labels backing them were not just turning a blind eye to the violence, but actually fueling it to sell records. According to the lawsuit, they knew King Von had a vendetta against FBG Duck and used it to market reality rap, banking on real-life violence to build an image and to drive up streams. Essentially, the more violent and controversial the story, the better it was for the business.
In other news tonight, a follow-up on a murder that made major headlines 4 years ago. The mother of the rapper killed that day in the Gold Coast is suing another rapper. She claims that he and his record labels profited from the 2020 shooting.
These individuals murdered Mr. Weekly as part of their effort to maintain or increase their position in the O Block.
The lawsuit alleges Durk's OTF label and other music companies affiliated with it profited from the gang war, fueled by social media and drill rap music.
The threatening, the killing, and then the celebration of the killing and the continued killing, all on the name of profit.
As a company, when you realize that you have a dangerous product and you're pushing that dangerous product out to the public, you have a responsibility to ensure that that dangerous product does not injure or hurt or harm anyone.
Ice Cube, a veteran in rap and a guy who's clocked a lot of tea about the music industry, has already talked about the hip-hop to prison pipeline.
Same people who own the labels own the prisons.
Literally the same people?
Literally the same people who own the labels own private prisons. The records that come out are really geared to push people towards that prison industry.
But they didn't make you write those lyrics.
It's not about making somebody write the lyrics. It's about being there as guardrails to make sure certain songs make it through and certain songs don't. You know, some records are made by committee, meaning record company guys sit around and tell the artists, this is hot, say that, do this. We're going to have this guy write the lyrics. We're going to have that. You have, you know, the record company pushing the narrative, you know, and somewhat, some social engineering going on here to make sure those prisons stay full.
Actually, like Monday, Tuesday, go to work as a record company executive, and Wednesday through Friday, go to work at the prisons? No.
No.
Okay, so if
of course they're not actually running the labels
They
running those
have
things.
financial interest in it.
They have financial interest.
And I do want to push back on Bill Maher saying, well, we didn't tell you to write the music. Yeah, but you're signing them for a record deal. Why? That is the question. You don't have to sign this person. You know the music doesn't sound good. You know that when Cardi B comes to you and says, I'm going to write a song about my vagina, you could just be like, no, actually, that's filth, and we're not going to allow it onto the airwaves. You are intentionally finding the worst people in Black America, and you are giving them money so that they can influence another generation of Black individuals.
Hip-hop has been glamorizing violence, but it's becoming more apparent that the record labels are knowingly signing artists deeply embedded in gang activity and profiting off of their destruction. It's almost like a modern-day gladiator fight. The labels sit back and watch while these young artists, many of whom come from tough backgrounds, put their lives on the line to maintain a real persona. Meanwhile, the industry profits not just from the music, but also from the chaos, the beefs, and the real-world violence. They know it's wrong, they don't even want that type of stuff in their face, but according to Lear Cohen, they also have a family to feed.
If an artist is talented, right, but you don't agree with their personal views, does that matter, or is it all about talent?
No, it's all about talent. I respect their personal views, but I can never be silent. I tell people when they ask me exactly how I feel. Like, you can't be a rapper and have a cup in front of me. I tell you, that's liquid heroin. You're junkie. You're junkie.
Would it concern you enough to not work with someone? Say they were in the middle of negotiating with you.
Yes,
would that
go
make
ahead.
You say, okay, I don't know that I can do this deal?
What?
If you felt like they had a drug problem.
No.
Why sign an artist that would promote that?
I already answered that question. You weren't paying attention. She asked me talent or issues, and I said talent.
But I'm saying that's hypocritical, though. You're saying
it's opportunistic.
Yeah.
I got people to feed. I got a business to run.
This isn't about art imitating life. It's more so like life being sacrificed for the sake of art, or specifically for profit. These labels continue to allow these artists to be involved in criminal enterprises as long as the streams keep rolling in. At what point do we start holding them accountable for their role in exploiting the very people who make them millions? If this lawsuit proves anything, it's that the line between art and real-world consequences have gotten dangerously blurred. And it's not just the artists paying the price, it's the families, the communities, and even their enemies. But regardless, who suffers in the end? Labels are collecting off of fallen bodies. Labels take out life insurance policies from these artists. They know firsthand from the history of rap that these artists are more times than none, don't have longevity, or somehow they'll be in prison or won't be alive too long. Attorneys say it's protecting business, and artists like French Montana says it's predatory.
The girls have brought up this question here. Are labels able to put insurance policies on artists?
Absolutely. If you had a label, and let's say you sign for somebody that be running the streets,
I ain't even gonna put nobody.
Actually, never
Let's do
mind.
a hypothetical. Hypothetical.
Okay,
Yeah.
you got somebody.
Little murder. Right.
Little murder.
Yeah.
Who from round away, gang banging, who be still sticking folks up, breaking into cars, whatever. But he got a few bangers on him. He got a little flow to him. I need to protect my investment.
No, as crazy as we make it sound, it actually sounds like a great business move.
It is
not putting money on his death, but protecting your investment.
These labels invest hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Business for them.
Yeah, it is.
And we think they're personally our friends.
Hell nah.
It's business.
That's facts.
And we was beefing for real. Like, people was like dying and this and that, and it was just like it was blocking a lot of money. People don't want to touch you. You know what I'm saying? You know, your rap friends, somebody gets shot, your rap friends stop picking up, the label stop picking up. Nah, it gets crazy. You know what I'm saying? It gets crazy. But now it's even crazier because they getting life insurance on artists. At least back then we didn't have that.
Somebody told me that shit.
Yeah.
Is a label signing an artist in good faith if you're taking a life insurance out on him?
No, you praying on his death. You praying on making millions on his death.
Or are they being realistic though?
Both. They're being realistic, and they, you're supposed to have life. You know what I'm saying? Life insurance anyway, but when the label does it, if you don't have one, that's crazy.
We all love Young Thug's music, but we have to be serious. This is exactly what the feds put a RICO on him for. The indictment is trying to prove that YSL operated as a criminal street gang while also functioning as a record label. And according to the suit, Lil Durk, he's about to go through the same exact thing. Young Thug is going through it with this case, but he's actually getting a little lucky. Unfortunately for Durk, they have hard evidence on him, and someone in his camp is not willing to go back to jail for anybody, including Lil Durk. When Jam got out of jail in 2022, he even said it himself that Lil Durk provided for him like a brother during his time locked up, taking care of his legal fees while also fighting his case. He bought him a house, a car, and even gave him more than $50,000 in cash. And now he's the very reason why Durk is probably not going to beat this case. He wore a wire for 2 years whenever he was around Durk. You even got Lil Baby ducking for cover. He knows he could be next too. A year ago, he changed his label name, which was 4PF, to Glass Window Entertainment, GWE.
It's other street gangs.
Yeah. I heard from her office today that I should expect a RICO indictment of another street gang in Atlanta soon. It's going to be, the hits are just going to keep coming. It's going to be every month or two until she thinks she's done. And I don't know which one's next. I think that saying that 75 or 80.
Now Lil Baby is laying low because he doesn't want to get caught up in the label to street gang RICO. In the end, nobody wants to go to jail. We question why these artists have so much money, but they continue to subject themselves to buffoonery. It's really the battle of who's smart enough to just let it go. Just letting it go, they make it seem like it's impossible when in the end, it's really a choice. If you look at Chief Keef's career, if you told me this man would be in jail by 25, I'll probably say maybe.
Young man, you've still got so much life to live.
I'm going to be 29 in August.
It's crazy to think what you've achieved at this point in your life.
Yeah, I'm about to be 29 years old, man. I came in at 16 years old.
It's so crazy. Do you think, looking back on it now with the benefit of hindsight, through all of the challenges and the triumphs that you've been through, that you would recommend trying to find your way as an artist, finding your voice at that age, that you really understand yourself as 16 enough?
Nah, I was just young and young.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going, doing stuff, and I was just actually the street life had me. You know what I'm saying? The streets and everything that came with that, it had me in like a hole, especially in Chicago. So when I moved to LA, I kind of started getting better as a person type.
Yeah, yeah.
So it took me to come to LA to actually grow out of what I was and who I was and how I was. Now I'm even talking, you couldn't get me to talk in an interview. I'll tell you, how are you, 300? Yeah, no. I ain't really speaking, I'm not being vocal like that. But nowadays, I got something to say, really, really.
They blamed him for the increase in violence with his music. They banned his music in Britain. Chief Keef was one of the first artists to popularize drill, and now look at him. He's shown growth, laying low and staying out the way because of the bigger picture, because he simply just wants to live his life in peace. The bigger picture is understanding that the higher power in the music industry allows certain people to create the mess while they give them the platform to do so. They'll make the pot, they'll let you stir up the concoctions, waiting for you to explode on yourself. There's always a bigger picture, and things are more strategic than it lets off, but it's up to you to have discernment on whether or not you want to engage. But we have to take note that record companies are signing and allowing artists to create gangs disguised as music labels, not for Chad, but for Daquan's black ass. Prisons are privately owned. The more inmates, the more money the government would pay these prisons. Here's some questions I'd love to hear your opinions about. Should music labels be viewed as enablers of gang activity when they profit off of the violent imagery and conflicts their artists bring into the spotlight? Can labels be compared to modern-day gang leaders or enterprises? In what ways are music labels complicit in exploiting artists who are involved in gang culture, and should they be held accountable for profiting off their artists' criminal activities? And does it really matter that Lil Baby changed 4PF to GWE? Let me know your comments down below, and make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. Toodles!